Okay,
Hey.
and we are live. Hello. I have no idea if anyone is here yet, but if you are, welcome. We're going to be discussing the videos that were submitted for last month's prompt, which was technology. There is a playlist linked in the description. So if you haven't seen them, go watch those now because we will be talking about them shortly. So does everyone want to introduce themselves?
Sure. Who wants to start?
Why don't you start?
Okay, cool. I'm Nir. I've been doing YouTube for a couple of years, but as of late, I've been getting more and more into making like films. And yeah, I got to know Jamie through a mutual friend, Jasper, who also does YouTube, and that's pretty much me.
Henry?
Yeah, sure. I'm Henry. I used to make videos for YouTube and then stopped for like 3 or 4 years. I can't remember. I'm trying to get back into it. Currently, I'm making like the software development-y type videos. I'm not sure if I want to go down that direction, but I'm like 7 or so videos in, so it seems to be that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Is that me now? Do I introduce myself?
I think so, yeah.
I'm Jay, and I run a channel called The Director's Logbook, which is aimed at beginner filmmakers. I'm a freelance filmmaker, and I met Jules. I can't remember, did we meet on like a playlist thing?
I think, was it through that women on YouTube like chat thing?
We both did a video for a playlist, and then I followed you, and you followed me. And kind of became friends.
FemTube, that's what that was called, FemTube.
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Ooh, I've just realised why this isn't showing up. It's currently unlisted.
There we go.
I kept
That would be why it's not anywhere. Right. Now I've got to work out how on earth I make that not be unlisted anymore while it's live.
They'll
Oop, there we go. Public. There we go.
Oh, did you fix
Hopefully that's available now.
That was fast.
Do we have to introduce ourselves again?
I was
probably on the stream.
It's a stream. People can go back.
Yeah.
No, it's still not there on the channel page.
I can't see it.
Well,
Oh, something's gone wrong here.
Oh my lord.
see here.
Worst case,
I can see it.
You can see it?
Oh, okay.
It says in my subscription feed. It says June's films and July's prom.
Oh, maybe I should look at my subscriptions.
I can see it. So.
Oh, interesting. It hasn't come up on mine yet.
Because YouTube's very well designed, so it could be just an issue with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing it. So.
I'm actually seeing it. That's odd. Yeah, well, YouTube is a masterpiece, just like engineering wise. It's just like flawless. So no fault in YouTube.
Oh wait, I think it came up. Hang on. Okay, I can see it now.
Okay, so it is there. Great.
Yeah. But I had to search
weird.
for film prompt, and it came up in the search. It wasn't on the description,
Yeah.
so I don't know what that was about.
I mean, I'm on the FPS channel looking at uploads, and it's not there.
I'm on both, and I can see it.
Right, we will assume it's live. My
Incredible,
account is being stupid, so right. So where were we? We've just done introductions.
Yep.
I think the theme of these streams is technical difficulties after what happened at the end of last month. So. Cool. Well, yeah, it's saying it's live now. I managed to find it through the link I've got as the person who set it up, so it's fine. It's fine. All right. Did we all introduce?
I think we did.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really, did I? But
No, you had to.
if you're not sure who I am, I also make YouTube videos. I started this up as mainly a thing to make myself actually make films. So I'm glad other people are joining in, and it is going all right. Yeah. So, do we want to start on the first film then, and discuss that?
Sure. Or do we wait for Jamie?
Jamie said to start without us.
Okay.
They'd be running a bit late, so hopefully Jamie will pop in at some point.
Awesome.
Okay. So the first film on the playlist, I believe, is Henry's.
Okay.
So if you are watching and you haven't watched the videos for this month, the playlist is in the description. So click on that and watch the first film. The first video is the prompt announcement. So it's the second video on the playlist that you want is the first film. So have a watch of that, and we will talk amongst ourselves for a minute or two and let people do that. So.
Oh, Henry, by the way, I like the whole thing that you did in the beginning of your video where you go like, oh, this video was made for the film prompt, and then you quickly explain and then you move on. I should have done that too.
I just wanted to make it like clear because I wouldn't have made the video otherwise. It was the prompt that kind of got me thinking about it anyway. So I did feel like I should kind of plaster that all over the front of it.
Well, I think that's really great though, because the prompt made you make something that you don't really usually do, and I really like the video. Like I'm a sucker for these kinds of videos. So well done, really.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like the first part made me laugh a couple of points, which I wasn't expecting from the having the prompt just being technology. I wasn't expecting a bit of comedy. So
yeah, the comedy made me laugh at the beginning as well. I really enjoyed the
Thank you.
The commentary. It went really well together.
It's I tend to work well when I'm supposed to be doing master's work, so
I have the same thing. Like I love to read, but I just don't find time to read. But when I have something really urgent to do, I find all the time in the world to just read random books, and I just like finish like piles of books just because I don't want to do what I'm supposed to do. So that relates.
I actually have a question, but it kind of skips to the second video as well. But I was quite interested that both of those you didn't choose to show faces and they were all on screen, and I thought that was really interesting. So I was going to ask you both like why you made that choice.
I did. Oh, do you want to go first now?
No.
I did originally plan to use a camera, but I don't know. Like the original cut of it, I guess, seemed a bit too in and out of the. I don't know how to explain it. It felt like it was losing direction really rapidly every time it swapped.
Right.
But keeping it all on that like blackboard sort of pattern, and then with the images and stuff, I felt worked a bit better than seeing my face every so often. So yeah, because I mean I've got like a whole other version with my face cut in every so often explaining stuff, but not a fan of it.
Huh, interesting. And what about Neil? What about you? What made you make that decision?
Well, first of all, probably lack of resources. Like I don't have a proper camera. I don't have any proper gear to make anything amazing. So that was the first thing that got me. And then I figured, and then it just kind of like when they said technology, it just, okay, I got no camera and I want to do something about technology. The first thing I thought about was like an old Windows computer. So, and then yeah, just happened basically.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Really cool. Because it's like I thought it was really cool because it's not something I would have thought of straight away to just use the screen, and I just thought it was really innovative. Can't say that word. Innovative. And like really unique. And yeah, no, I was curious, so thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, like usually when you see like screens recorded, it's usually like a game or somebody playing. It's like all about like YouTube gaming. So I do understand what you're saying. It does feel kind of weird to make a video that's just like a screen, like a screen of a computer or something like that. That's not game related really. But
it's also unique, and like I like it. I like the fact that it wasn't, because we are kind of not conditioned, but we expect that, and then it wasn't. It was a film, and I really like that.
Yeah, it was really fun making it because it's a different process, you know. And not gonna lie, it's actually easier to make because when you're recording something like with a real camera, you have to get it out, you have to prepare a set, you have to do all that. But when you're doing something like Henry did or something like I did, we can just like customize it and make it however we want. We just like set the stage for ourselves basically, which is amazing.
Yeah, totally.
So I was kind of wondering about the second part with the ant simulation for the ships.
Yes.
As a coding kind of person, I was a bit intrigued as to like, was this like sort of a algorithm sort of thing that you had previously written, or is this something that's generally out there as just a general ant simulation sort of thing?
The ant colony. So I didn't want to get like too technical because I did kind of want it to be accessible to like people who are interested in coding, and then people who like would just generally enjoy watching a bit of a 3-minute or whatever sort of thing. But the ant colony optimization is an algorithm that does exist out there that is used to like usually in like machine learning type stuff to find ideal pathways through a certain solutions. But sorry, okay.
Yeah, just knocked the thing over. It's fine.
It's used to just finding ideal pathways through certain like decision spaces sort of thing. But I kind of wanted to make it a bit less abstract than that and something a little bit more literal. So the merchants trading stuff in the Caribbean. It was the money prompt that made the coin jingling sound, got me straight onto merchants, and then I was kind of looking into ant colony stuff just because I did want to make something of it eventually and figured I could join the two together.
That's really cool.
Very clever.
Yeah. I like that you went from like money to merchants. That's like a really cool connection. Because usually money, you go to like dollars, gold, whatever, but you went straight for merchant. I think that's a cool little connection you got there.
I play a little bit too many like historical strategy games, so but I was going to say something. It's completely gone. Never mind.
Was there anything in the process of making that was like a particular challenge where you learned like something from?
Yeah, because I'd never implemented the algorithm to begin with. My housemate, because again I was procrastinating from doing any sort of like productive work, and my housemate had come in to find me kind of like in a heap on my desk. Like, are you okay, sort of thing. So it was quite tricky, but I guess it was a lot easier than it would have been otherwise because the algorithm already existed out there. But most of the time when it comes to programming, it's usually because you put a greater than instead of less than sign, and that destroys absolutely everything.
Yeah. Cool. And is there anything else you want to add, like about the film or the process or anything that you wanted to talk about?
I have something. Mm-hmm. I have a question actually. How can you make this more complex? How could you like further evolve this like kind of ant colony? Because I have no idea. I can't do coding, but like what's the next step if you'd like make this into like a fully fledged product, let's say?
So generally they're used for finding like, so I'm really bad at the creative side of it like that. So generally it's like finding the best solution within a space. So you're mapping out problems against like a distance vector, and the shortest path is the better solution to that problem sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm taking this very literally, but finding the shortest paths or the ideal paths around certain like mazes or finding shortest roads between certain cities, so ideal routes for traffic to go, things like that.
That's interesting. And would you consider like adding like another layer of like certain cities, politics between certain cities, and then like someone from this place can't go there because they don't agree or blah blah blah?
I have absolutely considered it. It's just the planning stage of that, and I think that is like a whole project in of itself. And I'm supposed to be doing another project, so. But yeah, that is definitely something that I have thought about and wrote down to be like, you should do this at some point. Maybe not now, but at some point in the future.
Well,
just because it'll be fun.
I really, really agree because I really liked it. It was like quite mesmerizing to look at. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I do like things that you can just kind of look at and observe, which is why I just love simulations like so much. Just to see like what weird stuff happens.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, this is kind of like throwing it out there, but have you any of you played the game Crusader Kings 2? So
I'm afraid not.
It's like a medieval politics simulator, but it's got really weird kind of emergent storylines sort of things, and you can choose to opt to not play as any character in it, and they just all interact with each other, and you get wild stories like, oh, someone's elected a horse into the College of Cardinals who is now next in line to be the Pope for some reason, and like just weird emergent storylines like that. And I just find that stuff really interesting, which is why I really like simulations, just to see what weird stuff comes out of it like that. I would like to do a lot more simulations as well. And I do have another one, but it will take a bit more explanation and work because it's kind of not finished. It was my dissertation project from a few years ago, and I kind of rebuilt it from the ground up over Christmas and haven't touched it since. But that is the next kind of show-offy project I want to do on that channel, minus the Python tutorials that I'm currently doing.
Which are very, like, I really enjoyed your recent one with the camping trip.
I
enjoyed that video.
That one was quite tricky because I didn't have anything to show per se, so I had to there was a lot more work put into that one than there was the ant boat ones. And mostly because the ant boat one I could just stick it on for an hour and time lapse it.
Cool. Shall we move on to Nir's film now?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that is the third video on the playlist. So if you have not watched it, go watch that now. You can pause us and come back. We won't mind. So, Nir, do you want to talk about what you did?
Oh yeah. So this film was actually quite a tedious task to actually make it because I don't know how to animate like in a proper animation software or program or whatever. So over like in the past, what I've done whenever I wanted to do something that's like kind of in that area is that I've like used video editing programs or like Photoshop to like individually make pictures, like if I make a picture of a stick figure moving, then the first picture would be it just standing, and then the next one will be him like taking his first leg, and then the next. So I like individually make them in Photoshop. So that's what I did now, basically. So I started from scratch, from nothing, and I went in and just watched a ton of videos of old computers starting up and booting up, like old Windows and old Mac and all that stuff, and I wanted to make something that was quite similar. So that's what I did. I kind of like half copied, half put it in my own words, because when you boot up an old computer, it has like all these like words and it loads really slowly, and you've got these dots blinking and all that stuff. So yeah, that's basically how I did it. I just like copied and kind of did it to something of my own.
I had no idea that you'd done that in a like non-animation software, especially with like the cursor movement. It seemed very fluid. So I'd assumed that had been done in like Adobe Animate or something like that, where you're able to set a tween and it just move it between a certain number of frames. So good job on that. If that was done by individually making images, good job.
Well, that particular part was done by taking a picture of a mouse or whatever, like the pointy thing that you see.
Icon.
And yeah, the icon, there we go, that's the word. You take the icon and then you basically go into like any editing software like for video, and then you set like an action for it, and you tell it, okay, at this point you're going to be at point 0, you're going to stand here, and then in 10 seconds you're going to be all over here, and then the software just like calculates it by like moving the cursor of the icon.
Okay.
So that's not really anything advanced. That's like the easier part, because it's just like click and set in sometimes, and then you're all set. So yeah, that's a tip for everyone. It's like a really easy thing to do, and you can do so much with it. I just know the basics, so that's what I use.
Are you going to sorry, I was just wondering, with I think you wrote in the description box about developing it as a story. Is that something you're going to do?
Definitely. So I'm like trying to build up a bigger story revolving whatever it is, and this is just like a small tease to it. So because when I saw that the film prompt was technology, I thought, wow, that's actually kind of cool, because I was just thinking about making something with like a computer and stuff like that. So the film prompt kind of pushed me to doing it. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot more of this in the future. I'm just currently writing a lot. Like every morning I'm trying to write at least a bit on the bigger story, the bigger picture.
It kind of reminded me of A Space Odyssey, when the computer goes nuts and takes over. I don't know, it just had that vibe to it.
Well, I'm glad, because it's supposed to be kind of like weird. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, it was great.
I don't know, I just have a thing for weird films.
I did say this the other night, but I really liked the boot OS that shows up. I think just like, because you designed all that yourself, didn't you? So it's just like you really managed to capture that like old OS feel, and like I can't imagine how long that would have taken to do.
The longest thing that actually took was for me to actually find some solid, like, because I was obviously born 98, so I didn't get that much of the really, really old OS. I never saw it really. So the hardest thing for me was actually going back and finding the right couple of OSs to kind of like grab the inspiration from. So that was the thing that took the most time. Then after that, it was just like more like, I don't know. It would, I guess I've subconsciously just been inspired by it my whole life, because I've always loved this. I've always loved the old computers. I've always loved the big metal boxes with like 1,000 different like drivers and shit that you just, and floppy disks. So I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but yeah.
If you're ever in England, I suggest going to Manchester, because they've got a museum in the Science and Technology Museum. They've got a huge exhibit on the really old like tower computers, and there's one of them that just like fills up like this entire wall of this room that is just like loads of towers, each one for a different function, and then the tiny little monitor in the middle of it is just like a bulb with points of light on it. It's really cool.
That is amazing. That is not. It's just, I don't know. It just feels like a lot of people in my age kind of forget where we've come from. You know how everything used to be like 20 years ago. You know, I don't know if you've seen this like really famous picture of like there's like, I think there's like 5-6 guys carrying this like big cargo out of a plane, and it's like a 10 megabyte storage memory thing from IBM, and it's like absolutely massive, and 10 megabytes is worth nothing today. Like absolutely, you can't buy like anything that only stores 10 megabytes today. It's just like and I just think it's like so cool that we've come so far, and but at the same time, I actually think that the old kind of like tech has its like own finesse, so we shouldn't forget it. You know, we shouldn't just erase that just because we have iPhones today. You know,
it's definitely got its own aesthetic about it. It's some of them are really pretty, even though they weren't intended to be. They were just intended to be functional, but even in that, it's like brutalist architecture, when people are kind of like, oh, we build these buildings to just suit a function, except they kind of look nice now, so they've got their own vibe about it. So yeah,
definitely. I agree with you.
But I think that the start of your video really managed to the whole video, but especially the start of it managed to capture that really, really well.
Yeah. I definitely spent a lot of time on that, so thank you.
So similar question asked Henry. Is there anything, in particular that you learned or was a challenge whilst you were making it?
My patience was definitely challenged. Definitely, because I think I have like folders with like the booting sequence in itself was like, I think 50-60 pictures that I had made, and then like the actual when the person types into this like little black box or the console or whatever you want to call it, that's also like each line is also an individual picture. So I have like another 60-70 pictures in there, and it's just like was definitely like a test of my patience, but at the same time, I kind of learned to just love just making things, you know, not necessarily being done with it, but just like doing it and maybe listening to some music and just trying out new things. So I definitely learned just to like sit and relax and not really think too much.
How long did it take you?
2-3 days maybe.
Wow.
Depends, because I tend to binge. I tend to binge when I edit. I don't sit for like an hour. I sit for like 4 or 5 hours. And if I have like something to edit and it's a weekend, I just sit until I'm done, basically. So I like to binge my work because you know you're in this mindset and you're like, you know what you want to do, and if you too many interruptions would just cause you to like not really remember what your vision was from the start. So that's why I prefer it.
In the zone.
Okay, so do we have any more thoughts on Tokyo to Paris?
No.
No?
I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How it all evolves and stuff.
That's great. Not like they're really this like the film was really weird, so I don't blame anyone for not having any questions because it's kind of hard to kind of comprehend what the actually wants to, you know? I put in so much like small Easter eggs into it, but like I think that they're never going to be uncovered because first of all they're really really far-fetched, and second thing is that I barely remember them. So because I tend to like not really write down the Easter eggs. I tend to try and remember them just by heart, and also I'm lazy. But like there's definitely a lot to like find in that video if you wrap your head around what it's actually about. So
I'm gonna have to go watch it again now and figure that out.
Yeah.
good luck.
Cool. Right, shall we move on to the next film, which is my one?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Unless we do have any more discussion points. I don't want to rush things forward.
No, Jules, I think you should tell us your experience of making this, what it was like.
Yeah. Okay. So mine is film number 4 on the playlist, video number 4. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. So yes, my intention, right, this may sound ridiculous. My intention was to do something not too time consuming this time. And then it got a little bit away from me. So yes, I did this stop motion with a smartphone going about its day. So here is the phone. So I animated this. Yeah, I don't know where should I start. The making of the actual puppet. So yeah, I made a version first, which I didn't use. So top tips when you're making things with felt: don't just cut the felt and assume everything's square, because you'll end up with a wiggly seam. So don't do that. So yeah, this I very much just cut one solid piece, sewed it together, and then decided I hated it. So I then made the second one, which had more planning. I sewed this like properly by doing like sewing it all on the inside, and then I did decorative stitching, so that's not actually holding it together. That just is to look nice. And then the arms have got some wire in them, and that's the only bit that moves. So, and I have a bag of facial expressions. So different shaped eyebrows and things. The really handy thing with felt is that you don't need to like sew things on. You can just place them and it'll just stick.
Oh,
like you can shape. Yeah, it's just because it's quite fibrous, so it's like a really really weak Velcro sort of effect.
all right.
So yeah, no, just dropped an eye. So that made it quite easy to animate because I just had to move each piece. I didn't have to make as many like pieces, because I thought I was going to end up making like 10 different eyes with the eyes looking in different places, but instead I just had 2 little black felt pupils that I moved around on the eyes, which saved making an awful lot of bits of felt. So yeah. I live stream making one part of it as well, so if anyone is interested in seeing the tedious process of stop motion, on my channel Jules Ender there is a archived live stream which is about 50 minutes long. and that was me making the opening part where the phone wakes up. So that took an hour to shoot.
Good Lord.
Yeah, stop motion takes a long time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, go on, sorry, Nia.
No.
I was just gonna say that I really like the I guess the character design. Is it the character design? Is that the right word I'm thinking for the phone?
Yeah, it is a character.
Yeah. I really liked it. Like, how long did you spend like planning just the look of it?
Not that long, to be honest. Like, I have a little sketch somewhere where I was measuring out for pieces for the felt and everything, but I was kind of basing it off a stop motion that I started making last summer and then scrapped. And I had the similar kind of eyes and everything shape, which, I may have the bits here. Just a sec. So yeah, I was going to make this stop motion, and I've kept all the little pieces out of card, but like I had lots of these little bits for different expressions and things. So there is context, but that's what the project ended up not finishing. But I kind of based a lot of it off what worked with that.
Okay.
So to the point, I used the same template for the eyes. Like I kept them exactly the same as that previous one for some characters that I did. But yeah, I just kind of went on a vibe of making a smartphone cute and trying to think how to do that.
But I also really like the way like the character design, like the way you designed it, but also the way you edited it brought that across. Like I loved the pacing and the humorous side of it as well. Like that was I don't know, the phone's character came through. I thought that was really clever to like achieve that as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I thought the pacing was great in this one actually. Like that was my biggest thing about it. Like it just flowed so nicely. Like it never felt too long and it didn't feel too short. It just like carried you through the whole way. So I thought it was brilliant.
Oh, thanks. There was an extra sort of scene, I guess, that I shot that I didn't use, which I was going to put in the middle, which was going to use the coin sound effect. I was going to have it in my pocket whilst like going through change and then putting the change in the pocket. But it is so difficult to not move at all because obviously the phone was on me. So after I edited it afterwards, there's just so much just slight movements of my body that just made it really unpleasant to watch. It was just jittering and it was just, and I didn't really have time to reshoot it. Like I tried, like I had a mark on the floor that I was standing on and I was trying to keep my posture the same, but it's, yeah.
I have a feeling that you might have to almost do stills of yourself, like stop motion yourself in order for that to work, or just have one still of you. Yeah, maybe. For that to work, but now I haven't tried that.
I'm not sure what editing software you use, but if you wanted the face to be animated as it was being put in your pocket or pulled out of your pocket or whatever, you could just film it without any of the facial features and see if you can get away with just like, what's the word for it? Is it chroma key?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then use the facial features on that as a separate thing. I don't know if that'll be even more complicated than standing very, very still, but
yeah, I did consider doing it. I considered doing the whole thing, like having the phone as just a physical, like actually my own smartphone, and doing something in After Effects to put eyes on it and things. But I kind of like the whole of it actually all being physically there.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to stick with that and try and push myself and see what I could achieve. And I definitely learned the point I could achieve too, and then it was not working. So,
and the fact that it's felt, it just adds a dimension to it that really adds something as well. It's really special.
I mean, this is going back to your previous video with the plant. I really like the designs of that. So, is like the plant behind you there, is that the real one or is that the model one?
That's the model one.
Okay. Yeah. Again, you did a really good job on that, and I was going to say something, but I've lost my train of thought because it's so warm in this room. Like, they're just really well designed, and I like the fact that the felt did kind of bring them to life a little bit more than you'd expect.
I'm surprised how well they've worked out. I need more felt now because I just don't have enough.
So was the plant felt as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realise. I don't know what I thought it was.
I don't know how well it shows up on the webcam, but you can kind of see the stitching and everything.
That's
well, I only realised it was felt when you did the live stream after last month, where you showed Jamie that it was felt, and that's when I was like, oh, okay.
I had no idea. That's really cool.
It's really actually impressive how much you put in, like both in like actually making the props and then the actual video itself, because stop motion is so tedious. Like I've done a couple of like stop motion thingies ish just to see how far I could take it, and it's so incredibly tedious. Like it takes so much more time than you think, and you end up with like 30 seconds of actual like watchable material, but you work for like 3-4 hours just to get there. I remember I had like outside of my like the house that I live in, we have like just a straight street. So I took like a camera and I stood in front of the camera and I took a picture, and then I moved the camera further to me, and then I took a step back and I did that all the way throughout the street, and that took me the whole day. That took me an entire day. So and the fact that it actually looks so good, like your stop motion looks so fluid and so like natural, is just astounding, to be honest. And then the fact that you actually made the thing that you're doing the stop motion with is also incredible. So very well done.
So you'll be sad to know there will be no felt props in next month's film. So
oh no!
I need a month off. I'm sure they'll be back in August. Or maybe September. August is busy.
Yeah. Is it Jamie's film now?
Yeah. I was kind of hoping they'd be here before we got because it's a bit more difficult to discuss it.
Can I just ask a question about it though? Did everybody go and click on the subtitles instantly?
Yeah, straight away.
I didn't. I was like, no, I'm going to watch this through without first and see what happens, and then I'm going to go back and watch it again.
That's interesting, because I thought that was a really clever risk. But I guess how was it watching it without subtitles first time?
I was just sort of a bit intrigued, like, I wonder what's going on. I wonder what is in the subtitles right now. And then it was sort of like, I wonder if it's everything in the subtitles is weird, or so then it was kind of interesting then to watch it back with.
Yeah, I loved how she made it interactive straight away, and then kind of you just I loved it. I think it should be a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, I absolutely adored Jamie's like concept to it. It was just like, and the thing is, it's such a like simple but yet not it's never anything I'd ever be able to come up with, to be honest. And it felt just like, because I remember when I went on to YouTube, like when I was a kid, like 9, 10, whatever, and I found this channel called Chad, Matt, and Rob. I don't know if anybody knows about this, but like they're like a really, really old channel, and they made these like really cinematic videos and like storylines, but they had annotations with like choices. So they'd go and do something, some alien would show up, and then you could choose to kill the alien or run away, and then that'll take you on a whole like other narrative kind of place. And it just felt so refreshing to have like an interactive story. And I felt the exact same with Jamie's video, that she uses the features of YouTube to like tell a story and not the actual like video. I just thought that was incredible.
And the thing that I found really interesting was that you can bring up the transcript of a video to have all the subtitles there that you can see, and the weird stuff isn't in them. And I want to know why that is.
I didn't know.
Because I'm very confused.
Ooh, that's
yeah, that genuinely made me just slightly creeped out when I saw that. I was like, why are they not there?
That's pretty clever.
So I don't know whether because they're in some form of like non-English font text, whether it just doesn't put them there, or whether there's some other way that they're put as a different kind of text. I don't know.
It'd be really interesting to find out if that was intentional.
No, tomorrow, no, they're not here. Come on, Jamie. Come online.
Yeah, I mean, what Nia was saying before, like it's really interesting seeing people actually use the functionality that YouTube gives us in like a really creative way like that, like rather than using annotations and stuff to be like, oh, look at my videos here, or look at this person's video, or kind of like linking someone somewhere, like actually using them to explore a story. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, but in a way, I'm sad that YouTube have got rid of the general annotations function. Like, 'cause you can have the end screen stuff now, but you can't have the old annotations anymore.
Wait, you can't? They completely removed it?
Yeah,
they have.
Yeah, they're still there on old videos,
Oh, thank
but
God.
you can't add them to anything you now upload.
No.
It's like they were irritating sometimes because people would put so much stuff on the screen and you just have to switch off the annotations. But it did allow for a lot of things, like you're saying with a narrative, like you could choose. Like there was a lot of like people making decisions on things, and you go to one or two, like a lot of trivia sort of things.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, which now you can't do as easily, which is annoying.
Yeah, I definitely buy this like really old channel, whatever. Like they actually stopped making videos and started making like real featured films. Like they were offered like a job and they made some horror film, I think. But I have a couple of like those interactive videos, and they were so fun to make. They were exhausting, absolutely exhausting to make because you shoot like everything 3 or 4 times. But it's so much fun to make, and I'm so sad to hear that you can't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
Go YouTube.
I'm not sure if any of you saw Will McDaniel's tweet on the description of YouTube's sub box, but I think it really captures what YouTube is doing right now. I think I sent it to you, Jules.
Yeah.
That I think that really it does a good job at capturing the mess that YouTube's kind of doing.
Wait, what is it?
I can't remember it now. If you can find it and read it out, it was.
I'll look for it. Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say about Jamie's film was that her performance really was, and the script, because regardless of the subtitles, I was actually dragged along by the way she was performing, and like she did a really good job of like making you worried.
Yeah.
What's going on? And I thought that really added to it. Like it wasn't just the technical side, but like all of those things added together, it made a really nice little film.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think of other stuff other than things I wanted to ask Jamie specifically.
It was like, again, going back to the whole like the risk that they took in that video, because I mean, like it could have been like someone would watch the video and have no inclination to like click on the subtitles, but they did a good job at kind of like baiting you in a way that wasn't obvious, but also like, I don't know quite how to explain it, but like your natural reaction to that would be to, oh, I'm going to turn on the subtitles, like,
yeah.
But it was kind of a bit more subtle than you'd expect. Other ways of going about that.
Yeah,
it's kind of playing with psychology. Like, just I would never have been able to play on somebody's psychology that they would click on the subtitles. Just the fact that most of us did, it's quite interesting that she was able to sort of tap into that. They're like, don't do this, everybody does it. Quite different humanity.
Except me.
Except, yeah, you're the good one.
I'm the goody two-shoes, but do what I'm told.
Because I think I've seen all the videos that do that, and nobody does it because everyone's just like, oh, bad, and then just leave the video. Like, and they get like thumbed down to hell, and everyone's like, avoid at all costs, and God knows what. But I think they did it in a way that was like, I guess like respectful of the viewer, as well as they still manage to bait them as well.
I've just got a tickly throat, so I'm just going to go cough outside for a second.
It's okay. Don't worry. Oh my word. I think this weather is getting everyone.
Yeah. We are
It's-
not built for this.
How warm is it?
It was 29 degrees here, which for Cardiff is really weird. It does not do this. So,
So-
Wait,
and the fact that
you-
it hasn't rained in like weeks, like genuinely, it rains like at least 50% of the time here. So everything's dead.
Yeah. The grass is
Grass
just
is
like
brown.
hay.
Yeah. So my
It's,
current strategy for keeping cool right now is I've got this bottle which is filled with water that I stuck in the freezer, and I've just got my feet on it. So
very good. Very good.
that was what I knocked over earlier.
Ah, I see. It's 28 in Manchester as well. I think it got up to like 30 the other day, and it's just like for northern England, and especially because you're in Wales as well. So that those temperatures are just not good at all.
You all right, Jake?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just could feel this like huge cough coming. I didn't want to interrupt everybody.
Oh.
So, Henry dug out that tweet. So yeah, this was about when YouTube was saying they're experimenting with how things are shown in the subscription feed. And yeah, Will McDaniel said, "Here at YouTube, we like to think of the subscription feed as a large bucket of oil, with your subscription submerged in that oil. Now all we're asking you to do is plunge your face into that delicious oil, rootle around and pull out your favourite videos with your teeth. Oil." So,
Oh, I like this. Yeah, I remember actually reading it.
so yeah, that sums up YouTube very nicely.
It's I don't know why it stuck with me so much though. I think it's just because it's so surreal.
Yeah.
It's quite a strong visual image as well.
Yeah, I think it suits his content quite well
Yeah.
because his content is also very just out there. Have we any news from Jamie?
No, I have messaged, but nothing. So I think we have to assume we're not going to be graced with Jamie's presence.
Oh.
So if, however, they do show up and just pop up, then we can always just be like, hey, whatever we're talking about, Disrupt, let's discuss your film. But shall we then move on to the new prompt and talk about that and ideas, inspiration, and all of that? So the prompt for July is last summer. So, does anyone have any ideas or thoughts of what they're going to do yet? Or are we all completely...
I have
I'm dry.
a couple of thoughts. Until we throw in the extra challenge that you threw in, that you had to get some footage of like summer or summery looking stuff, I guess.
Yeah, just filming something outside. But of course, that's the added bonus challenge that you don't have to do.
I absolutely want to though. So, because I was thinking of, I mean, if I am going to go down this route of software development and more recently machine learning and stuff, I'd love to do something a bit more like artificial intelligence recognizing images sort of stuff. Because it's something that is like easier to do than you'd expect, and it also fits the theme very, very well. And the idea I initially had was taking a photo and depending on the objects in that photo, classify it as a summer photo or a winter photo sort of thing. And like the easiest route you could do is with like light levels and like saturation, I guess. But then there's things like recognizing season specific stuff, like a bucket of sand for like summer, or like a Christmas tree for winter, and that sort of stuff. And I was playing around with that idea. I haven't really gone much more than just playing around with that idea, but that is definitely something I'd like to approach at some point, even if it's not for this challenge.
No, that sounds really cool.
Mm.
So, yeah, like the idea of getting computers to recognize images just sounds incredibly complicated. So
It's there's ways there's really complicated ways you could do it, and they usually get the best results, but they're just not accessible at all. And then there's really, well, especially because you usually need a big beefy computer to run a load of numbers and all kinds of stuff and do some deep learning, which requires quite a lot of power. But there are really cheap and easy ways to do it, like just rather than spending half your effort getting something that's going to be like maybe accurate like 99% of the time, you could like put in very little effort to get something that at least shows up with like a 75-60 accuracy sort of thing, which is still better than 0. So so that I'd kind of want to play with that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I've been collecting some footage today for my video. I'm planning on doing a fairly simple idea of it being a nice montage of summary footage with nice cheesy happy music, and then it just smash cutting to me just staring out the window and it's raining. So that's my plan.
I love it.
Very
I'm assuming it will rain before the end of the month. I mean,
It's going to be called This is England.
Well, I'm in Wales, Jay, so no.
Oh, I'm so bad like that.
Oh dear. But yeah, so I've been starting just getting, like, whenever I'm going outside and it's sunny, I'm taking my camera and asking someone to hold it, or just, walk around in the sun basically, so I can have a load of footage to choose from, because I need something that doesn't take up too much of my time. So if I'm already out doing stuff, I can just have my camera. That is my plan. So I'm definitely doing something not too labor intensive. Not going to get sidetracked with stop motion.
Alternatively, just thinking about your video, last summer compared to this summer, last summer it's kind of, like England warm, you can deal with it. It's like, or like England/Wales warm, sorry. And it's like acceptable. And you can like deal with it and you're walking around and everything's fine and everyone's having a nice time in the park. Cut to this summer, you're suffering under the sun, the grass is on fire. Like, God knows what's happening.
Oh my god.
Are you okay now?
No, but like I'm just thinking the grass is on fire. That could literally happen in Europe right now.
It has happened in Manchester, North Manchester. There was a moor fire. So
yeah, and there's been a few smaller ones in Wales as well. Not on the scale of what happened in Manchester, but yeah. So.
It's a bit toasty.
I've been like having this video in the making for the past couple like weeks, almost months, and it's basically talks about how absurd actually it is to buy a bottle of water, like how stupid it actually is to go buy bottled water. But the thing is, so I borrowed like a BB gun from a friend to shoot some like water bottles or whatever, but the gun wasn't strong enough, so we're gonna get a bigger gun. But the thing is that my friend that has the bigger gun, he's probably going to be out of town, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish this video, because this one is definitely going to be shot outside in the beach. And yeah, so
that's cool.
Yeah.
I have like a sort of idea, but I feel like it's going to be too complicated for me to do this month, which was, I read an article about, it was in the news, a Japanese tourist lost her camera. I don't know if you read about it. She had like a waterproof case on the camera, dropped it in the sea, and then 2 years later a group of school children found it, and it was still working.
Wow.
It was still working, and they got the pictures and they put them on Facebook, and they were able to find the owner within a day. And the bit that interested me was I just would really love to do the journey of the camera. Like from its point of view, kind of like using a GoPro or something, kind of going through different parts of the ocean, because it traveled I don't know how many miles. But I think it's quite like practically to do that could be quite hard in terms of like changing where it is in the world. Like I can put the GoPro underwater here, but how am I going to make it look like a different, I don't know, it's just Do you know what I mean? It seems a little bit big. But I
That's
kind of
quite
really
cool,
want to
though,
do
I
it
feel
as
like.
well.
It's a cool idea, though.
Yeah, but I'm kind of making a feature film, so I don't know if it's wise to do that as well.
Yeah, you do have a lot going on.
Yeah, so I might try and cut it down to something similar, but just a bit smaller.
So how is Ruth coming along anyway?
Yeah, it's going really well. The next shoot in August is like the one with lots of extras. So we have like town scenes and field, like lots of dancers in a field. So in terms of like managing all of that, it's going to be bigger in some ways. But I feel less stressed having done one shoot. I feel a lot more prepared for the next one, so that's good. And we're having a lot of the same crew, which is really good because we had a great crew. Yeah.
If you want to keep up with what's going on with the production of Jay's film, she's been doing weekly videos about it. So director's logbook, go check it out.
Yeah, there's behind the scenes. I'm trying to put every week some behind the scenes of the filming and like the planning and stuff like that. So
yeah, I really enjoyed watching like the set design part when you were building the indoor stuff and with the plasterboard.
Yeah, it was styrofoam. Is that the same thing? Yeah. That was kind of fun to watch the progression of that. Yeah, it's still there. We haven't taken it down yet.
I hate to cut everyone off, but I gotta go now. So I'm just gonna say goodbye.
Thanks very much for joining us, Nia.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Everybody take care, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
You too.
Yep.
It's great to
Look forward to your next project.
Thank you.
Bye. So we probably won't be streaming for that much longer because it is now 6, so we usually go for about an hour.
Oh, God, is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
The clock in the bottom corner covered by my microphone, so I couldn't see it.
But we did start a little bit late, so we can go for a little bit if we want to talk more about ideas. So, when I suggested the prompt, I thought last summer, that's fairly broad, but also kind of got some intrigue. There should be a lot of ideas. And then I sat and stared at a piece of paper for like 20 minutes and could think of nothing.
I had to fight the urge to like instantly think horror, and I think it's just because of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that's the only thing I was like, no, stop that. That's not what it is. Well, it can be, but I don't want to do that.
I couldn't think of anything I could do like that I could do just on my own. Like everything I wanted to do would have required getting a friend to act with me, and I don't really have any friends in the area who want to do that. So my general limiting factor for everything I do is that I've got to be able to do it on my own, or maybe have someone operate the camera, because I do have like my boyfriend Chris. He will, he's not comfortable with the camera. He doesn't really know what he's doing, and he feels a bit awkward, but he does help me out with stuff. But I'm very much limited by how I can find people. So
I struggle with that too, actually. I don't know if everybody struggles with that, but because everything that you want people in, like whether it's crew or actors, that you have to organize the time, you have to kind of get resources, and I prefer doing things on my own just to get them done. But there is always that thing of you have to figure out what you can do just by yourself, and it is quite limiting. I don't know if you both of you struggle with that.
Yeah, I think it's good though, because it makes you think around the problem of right, I have one camera that obviously has to be in a fixed position during shots. I can't have any movement. I've only got me in front of the camera. What can I do? And I think that is quite good to have. But it can be frustrating when you've got a really good idea, but you just can't do it.
Yeah.
Going back to a passing comment you made there, horror films, it would be very interesting to see a horror setting or just anything horror related done within the 3-minute time scale, just because you'd have to do a lot of world building, I guess, and a lot of it'd just be really interesting to see if someone could successfully do that really well.
I think in a way Jamie did, because
definitely, there
was suspense and sort of ooh, what's going on, but also it was genuinely quite creepy. So I'd say that was quite a successful
definitely
horror in a very short time frame.
Yeah.
But something with a bit more narrative to it would definitely be a challenge.
I think, and building a world would be quite. I mean, Jamie built a world in that film, but if you did any kind of production design, that would be quite interesting. And
Yeah,
there was an
definitely.
amazing short film. It wasn't a horror, but there was an amazing short film I saw once, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was about a guy in space connecting over the internet somehow, I don't know, to a to a webcam, and a girl in an apartment, and it was kind of like this little romance. But they kind of built this spaceship, and I think the guy was shooting a feature film. And I don't know, like having done part of a feature film, I don't know how they found the time to do this, but he took a day out of the feature film to build this spaceship on set, and then they just took a day or half day to shoot, and it was incredible. Like, obviously they had a lot of manpower behind it, but it looked so good, and it didn't take them forever to do that. So I think something like that would be quite interesting if you kind of leaned more heavily on the production design and created that world. Whether it was horror, whether it was sci-fi or something like that.
Yeah.
And styrofoam is really useful. You can do anything with it. You carve it, carve it into shapes.
Oh, but the sound though.
Oh, I know. You didn't like
God.
it, did you, on the video? I left that sound in.
Yeah, I would love to try something with like a bit more, designing a set, but I'm very limited on space. I don't live in the biggest flat, and I don't like to get in the way of Chris. Like, I have enough like film equipment just strewn everywhere. I don't need to have a set blocking up half a room.
Yeah.
But at some point. So trying to think of other thoughts I had about last summer. So I had the whole, I know what you did last summer. I stuck for a while on some kind of reminiscing on like a past relationship or something like that for a while. But I couldn't think of doing something that wasn't like at least a little bit depressing. Yeah. And like, since my first short film that I did for this got a bit heavy, I'm trying to not do that for a little while. So it's like I'm okay, honestly. I don't just make depressing things.
Because I think it, like, the prompt opens itself up to do like a coming of age type film, which doesn't have to be sad, but kind of like, or something from your childhood, or if it's a kid that's just a year on, but something big that happened in their life last summer. Like, you could take it from that angle as well, which is
something very nostalgic.
Yeah, yeah, like a moment of growing up, or something like that. It'd be quite fun.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Yeah. So someone can use that.
Yeah.
That's my one idea for today.
In the ideas box, that's perfect. There you go. I think I'm completely out of ideas with this, though. Like, I definitely had an idea, but I do need to do some more thinking about it. I guess this month I'm concerned I might not be able to get this one done just because it's deadlines like all through summer. So
yeah. And we never want this to get in the way of actual life stuff. So
I mean, I don't know how you're doing this and a doctorate at the same time.
Is from years of overworking myself, I've recently gotten the hang of the whole work-life balance. Well, more of the hang of it. So it's about making sure I get what I need to done for work and then working on creative projects, but giving them a similar like importance weighting, like because by not doing anything creative, I end up having like not a good mental health time, basically. So I need to do that sort of thing. It is important for me to do that. So much things about not feeling guilty about working on it. So and I'm in the writing up stage. I'm currently going through notes that my supervisor's given me on chapters that I have written. So it's getting there. But
How many words is it again?
Maximum of 100,000. Okay. But a lot of theses don't get anywhere near that.
Yeah.
It depends like what they're on. More humanities based topics where it's a lot more writing involved. But like, because mine's a weird sort of technical but also social sciences, it's like there's a lot of it because your word count also is like tables, figures, literally everything. So I've got to put a lot of code in from the apps that I built and a lot of data and things like that. So actual writing it will probably be more like 50,000 and that sort of, which is still a lot, but
Yeah.
but it's not as daunting.
Yeah, it's incredible. But I think it's good to do, no matter what you're working on and how much of your time it's taking. I think doing something creative helps you with that and gives your brain a break.
Yeah.
Even working on this feature film, part of me is like, oh, I should just be spending every second on the feature film, and I should. But at the same time, I feel like I need to do some other creative stuff as well in order to just keep a balance, because I think it uses different parts of your brain, maybe, I don't know, but it just feels like it frees you up and makes you a bit more happy.
Yeah.
So I think stuff like that is really great, like short films and stuff that isn't taking up loads of resources and time, but is getting you to challenge yourself. I think it's really great.
Yeah.
So thank you for creating it.
Well, thanks for helping me get it going.
I've yet to do my film.
You have been. I came in just before you started shooting your feature, so it wasn't the best timing.
But I would love to try and get this one. I just feel like I need to do this one.
All right, shall we draw things to a close then?
Yeah, I guess so.
So if you haven't watched any of the films we were talking about, you probably should watch those. The playlist is in the description of the video. And thanks very much for joining. We'll be having another live stream next month to talk about the films that were made for the new prompt for last summer. So hopefully see you then. Okay, bye then.
Bye.